The ocean was calm that night, but not for long, when a group of arrogant smugglers threw a young woman overboard, laughing as the waves swallowed her. They had no idea who she really was. Moments later, the water itself seemed to roar back in fury, because she wasn't just any victim. She was one of the Navy's elite, and the men who thought they ruled the sea were about to learn who truly owns the ocean. If you love your mom and dad, hit that subscribe button and show some love to her, because this story will remind you that courage, loyalty, and justice always rise to the surface, no matter how deep they're buried. The waves slapped against the rusted hull of the cargo ship Mariana's Vengeance, echoing into the night like a warning. The moon cast a silvery glow over the black water, revealing men in grease-stained shirts and hard faces loading crates stamped with false logos. They weren't fishermen. They were smugglers, and tonight, their cargo wasn't just illegal weapons. It was a secret that could change everything. And somewhere inside the ship's dark interior, a woman lay bruised, her wrists bound with thick rope, her face lit only by the flickering bulb of a single hanging light. Her name was Lieutenant Maya Reyes, U.S. Navy SEAL, but to these men, she was just a spy who got too close. Maya's breathing was steady despite the pain in her ribs. She had been undercover for weeks, tracking a global smuggling network that funneled weapons across oceans under the guise of humanitarian aid. Her mission was to collect intel, mark their routes, and wait for extraction. But she'd been discovered before the rendezvous. Now, bound and surrounded by killers, she watched as the ship's captain, a burly man with a thick beard and eyes like ice, walked toward her. "You think you can play SEAL with the big boys?" he sneered, his voice heavy with mockery. "Let's see how well you swim without your fancy gear." Two men grabbed her arms, dragging her across the deck. The night wind cut cold across her face. She looked up at the vast sky, so wide, so endless, and in that moment she smiled. It was small, defiant, and terrifyingly calm. "You're making a mistake," she said. The captain laughed, pushing her toward the edge. "You're the one who made a mistake, sweetheart, thinking the ocean cares who you are." And with that, they threw her overboard. The splash echoed into the night, and the men returned to their work as if tossing away a piece of trash. The water was freezing, wrapping around Maya like claws, pulling her down. But she wasn't fighting to breathe. She was counting seconds. Her mind ran through survival patterns, just as she'd been trained. She had one hidden tool, a wrist blade embedded in her tactical watch, still strapped under her sleeve. Twisting her wrists, she sliced through the rope, gasping as her hands came free. She kicked upward, breaking the surface silently, just as the ship's lights vanished into the mist. She floated in the dark, alone, or so it seemed. A low hum vibrated beneath the waves, faint but familiar. Then from the depths, a shadow emerged, sleek, black, and silent. A SEAL delivery vehicle. Her extraction team had arrived. Inside the submersible, Commander Ethan Brooks stared at the sonar screen, his jaw tight. "She's alive," he said quietly, hearing the coded ping from Maya's backup locator. "I told you she'd make it." The other SEALs exchanged glances, disbelief mixed with respect. Maya wasn't just another operator. She was the first female SEAL to ever lead an infiltration op into enemy-controlled waters. And if she was still alive, that meant this mission wasn't over. They surfaced near her, silent as ghosts. Two SEALs pulled her aboard, wrapping her in a thermal blanket as the hatch sealed shut. "You're late," Maya muttered with a weak grin. Brooks chuckled. "You're impossible to kill." Back aboard the Mariana's Vengeance, the smugglers were celebrating, unaware that death was already swimming back toward them. Maya, now armed and refitted, stared at the tactical map inside the sub. "They're heading for the drop zone," she said, pointing to a coordinate marked in red. "Weapons exchange in 2 hours. We end this tonight." The operation moved fast. The SEALs launched under cover of darkness, cutting through the waves like sharks. Above the surface, thunder rumbled in the distance, as if the sky itself sensed what was coming. As they neared the ship, Maya led the insertion. The team rose silently beside the hull, magnetic grapples clinking faintly against metal. Within minutes, they were on deck, unseen, unheard, unstoppable. Maya's boots touched the same spot where she'd been thrown off just hours ago. She paused, eyes burning with cold fury. The captain was on the bridge, laughing with his men, unaware that ghosts had returned from the deep with a hand signal. Her team fanned out, one to the bridge, one to the engine room, one covering the deck. The operation unfolded like a perfectly timed storm. "Who's there?" A voice barked from behind a stack of crates. Maya turned, too late. A guard spotted her and raised his weapon. She dropped low, sweeping his legs, disarming him mid-fall. The man hit the deck with a thud, unconscious before his weapon clattered. But the sound had already drawn attention. The alarm blared. Red lights bathed the deck in blood. The captain burst from the bridge, gun raised. "I knew you weren't dead," he shouted. "You SEALs think you're gods." Maya took cover behind a crate as bullets shredded the air. "No," she called back, her voice cold as steel. "We're the ones who make sure gods can sleep at night." A flashbang exploded, lighting up the storm-dark deck. SEALs moved in formation, precise, efficient, merciless. The smugglers didn't stand a chance. Within minutes, the fight was over. Maya climbed the bridge, storming through smoke and shattered glass. The captain stumbled back, cornered. "You think you won?" he hissed. "You don't know what we're carrying." Maya aimed her sidearm. "I know enough." But then he laughed, a low, unsettling sound. He reached for a detonator on the console. "You can't stop the tide." She fired. The bullet hit his shoulder, and the detonator fell, clattering harmlessly to the floor. He collapsed, groaning. "You're done," Maya said quietly. The SEALs swept to the cargo hold, finding crates not just weapons, but stolen naval tech, encrypted drives, and intel linking to a global smuggling web. "This isn't just local," Brooks muttered. "This goes all the way up." By dawn, the ship was under U.S. Navy control. Maya stood on the deck, watching the sun break over the horizon, the waves glittering gold. The same ocean that had almost killed her now reflected victory. A chopper roared overhead, the extraction team arriving to take them home. Brooks joined her, removing his helmet. "You sure you're all right?" he asked. Maya nodded. "The ocean doesn't scare me. It just reminds me who I am." But as they lifted off, she glanced down at the ship below, and for a moment, she saw the captain being loaded onto a rescue boat, smirking even through pain. "You can't stop what's coming," he mouthed. The words stuck with her. Weeks later, at a classified Navy facility, Maya and her team reviewed the data. The smuggling routes linked to a private corporation, one contracted by high-ranking officials. It wasn't over. The deeper they looked, the murkier it became. And one night, as Maya sat alone on the pier staring into the sea, she thought she saw a shadow move under the water. Too smooth, too deliberate. A reminder that the ocean held more secrets than even SEALs could uncover. A gull screeched overhead. She smiled faintly, whispering, "Come what may." The next morning, her new orders arrived, stamped with clearance beyond her rank. The note inside was short. Report to command. Operation Leviathan. The sea had called her again. And this time it wasn't just a mission, it was a reckoning.